Hey guys, Cedric here, bringing you a Fiddlesticks tutorial. So first I'll be going over Fiddle's abilities. So first you have Terrify, your basic crowd control. You just fear an enemy and they run around aimlessly for a second or two. Then you have Drain. This is how you're going to be able to stay in lane for so long. It's like 60% of the damage you do is given back as health, so you can easily just drain health from minions and stay in lane almost forever. Dark Wind, this is going to be your main harassment ability. You just launch a crow and it bounces between 5 enemies and it can hit the same target twice. So, for example, like if you're in top or bottom lane against 2 other champions and there's no minions around, you launch them, it can just bounce back and forth between them and do a ton of damage. Then you have Crowstorm as ultimate. You channel for a second, and then you teleport to a location, and you deal tons and tons of damage around you for a couple seconds. So this, combined with your fear and your drain, it's going to be really hard for enemies to escape from this. So, for masteries, I go with a 9-0-21 build, taking ability power, cooldown reduction, and magic pen in offense, and mana regen, increased experience gain, movement, cooldown reduction, etc. in the utility tree. For runes, I go with magic pen marks, mana regeneration seals, and cooldown reduction glyphs. And then for my quintessences, I go with magic pen as well. Okay, so for the build, we start with Dorn's Ring. Gives a nice amount of AP and mana regen. You shouldn't have too much problems with mana early game just because your low levels of Dark Wind don't cost too much, and that's really what you're going to be using. If you stay out of the way of a lot of harass, then you'll be fine. You won't have to use your drain as much. So then basically when you start laning, you're just going to keep spamming Dark Wind as much as possible. It's pretty hard to get to bounce like exactly where you want it. You have to time it perfectly with like champions being distance apart. See right there, I tried to get it to bounce between them, but Mundo jumped into the bush fast enough so that it wouldn't bounce between them a bunch of times. So basically early game, before, or at least when you're level 1, all you're doing is harassing. I mean, if you look at this Mundo and this Vayne's health right now, we've already gotten them down. So, I mean, harassing is very easy with Fiddle. Just click and harass, and you don't want to click a champion every time, just because Dark Wind is also a good ability to rack up creep score with. So, you never want to bounce it whenever it's not gonna bounce to another enemy. Like right now, where Vayne was before she rolled, if I would have thrown a Dark Wind at her, it wouldn't have bounced to the minions and bounced around and done like near as much damage as it could potentially. Okay, so right here is a perfect example of when to use your Dark Wind. As you can see, it bounces twice between Mundo and Vayne, giving me the most damage possible. There were no minions around, so I didn't have to worry about it straying off and not hitting who I wanted it to hit. Okay, so as soon as you hit level 4, you're going to put a second point into your drain. And then you're going to go directly to your or the enemy team's blue. In this game, there was no enemy jungler, so I didn't have to worry about getting ganked or anything. So what this is going to do is it's going to allow you to drain a lot more in lane, so you're going to be able to stay even longer, and your cooldowns are going to be less on your Dark Wind, so you're going to be able to harass even more. Okay, so here's a good example of how easy it is to stay in lane as Fiddle. As you can see right here, I just drain the cannon minion one time, and now I'm back to about 75% health, and I'm pretty much good to go in the lane. I haven't exactly talked about skill order, so I guess I'll do that now. For the first 4 levels, you're just going to put points into Dark Wind and Drain. That way when you hit level 4, you're going to have 2 points into Drain, and you can take blue. Level 5, you can either take Dark Wind again, or you can put a point into your Fear. That way you'll have a little bit more CC. Level 6, of course, you're going to get your ultimate, and then after that you're just going to prioritize your Dark Wind, then your Drain, then your Fear. Okay, so now I'll be talking about when to use Fiddle's ult. Right here, I ult right in front of Mundo, which with any other champion, it wouldn't have been a good idea because he could just break my channel and stop me from doing it. But Mundo doesn't have any kind of crowd control like that, so I didn't have to worry about him stopping me from using it. You never want to use your ult in plain sight like I just did. You want to do it from inside the bush, like over a wall. That way your enemies can't just see you and either break your channel or just run away and get out of range. So now talk about building Fiddle. First you're going to start with the Dorn's Ring, then Magic Pen Boots or Mercury Treads if the enemy team is CC heavy. Then you're going to want to rush Rylai's because the extra health and the slow is just almost a necessity on Fiddle. After that, you're going to want to build situational, maybe some cooldown reduction if you can't grab blue as often as you want, or some defensive items if you're dying too much. Usually I build Zanya's Hourglass just because the extra AP is fantastic, as well as the active is just so good, considering Fiddle's so easy to gank. After that, you're going to want to grab either a death cap or even another defensive item if you feel that you're still dying way too quick, maybe if the enemy team's getting fed. That's pretty much it on the build. Just standard caster, lots of AP, some defense if you need it. Okay, so right here's a good example of a team fight as Fiddle. I messed up here, I ran in way too fast and then had to back off while my team finished off their Blitz and their Mundo. I try to ult in because I think they're going to stay and finish the fight, but they don't. So I use a Dark Wind on Zilean here, and I know it's going to bounce between him and Caitlyn, so I just immediately turn around knowing it's going to grab me the kill. What I should have done differently there is position myself better and ulted over a wall and caught them by surprise rather than just ulting right in their face. This game actually ends in a surrender, so I don't have a whole lot of late game footage. Okay, so right here's a perfect example of how not to use Fiddlesticks ult. I ult in, try to kill Zilean, but he gets too close to the tower. Start to chase Caitlyn, but she flashed over the wall. So I just decided I'm going to come over here and grab Wraith Camp. So I throw a Dark Wind into the camp, start to kill them. Blitzcrank shows up. I decided to initiate him because Fiddlesticks is a really good 1v1 champ. Probably only a few that can outdo him 1v1, especially level 11. So Caitlyn shows back up, so does Zilean, start running away. Keep them off me with a good silence there. Fear Blitzcrank right there, and get away, and I don't die, which is pretty cool. So thank you guys for watching the tutorial. I hope you find it helpful. If you have any comments, questions, or suggestions, just leave it in the section below.